Hi guys, so today we're looking at two powder foundations from Revolution. One is Revolution Pro, one is Revolution. So, I have got both of their pages up on the website. I will say, by the way, this compact is so reflective that I was trying to do the thumbnail for this and I realised that I could see my own face in the compact, which is crazy. It looks so weird. I've got two mouths now. Anyway. Anyway. So, we'll start with talking about this guy. This is the Conceal and Define Powder Foundation. I have the shade P1. There is a translucent version of this as well, which would be interesting. Sorry. Discover this creamy, lightweight, medium coverage and buildable foundation available in 31 shades, including 30 skin true shades plus translucent, designed to suit every skin type and skin tone. A finely milled, talc-free, non-drying and comfortable formula that leaves a no flashback finish, infused with hyaluronic acid and cannabis sativa for an extra comfortable and hydrating wear with a satin finish, making this the perfect powder foundation for oily, dry and combination skin. Contains a soft touch airbrush foundation puff. So this one is £8 and you get 7 grams of product. Now, let's see the other one. So the Revolution Pro powder foundation is £5 and you get 8 grams of product. So it is definitely the cheaper out of the two. I forgot. So build your perfect base on the move with the Revolution Pro Powder Foundation. Boasting a customisable coverage with a velvety matte finish, this pressed powder formula arrives in a sleek, purse-friendly compact that houses a mirror and sponge applicator, making it perfect for on-the-go makeup application and touch-ups while travelling. Apply as your foundation for a medium coverage, use to mattify for a midday pick-me-up, or dampen the sponge to build coverage before an evening out. And there are 18 shades, slightly less shades in that, well, actually near enough half the shades in that one, so that's not the greatest. So obviously the price difference is coming in with the kind of skincare benefits of this, with the hyaluronic acid and everything in it, but we're going to have a look at how they both perform and we'll do a wear test and we'll see whether it is worth the extra money or not. Right, so let's get these on. Primer wise, I've used the Niacinamide Primer Drops, and this is the Revolution Pro one. I promise it is a Revolution Pro, it's just worn off on the front, it's been in my handbag. So this is in the shade F1, it's got its little sponge, which I've used one side of, so we're going to use the clean side of. And then we've got the Revolution Conceal and Define in the shade P1, which has slightly different sponges on top rather than buried underneath. So yeah, I am going to use the Pro on the right side of my face. Why not? It's got an extra R in it, it can go on the right. I used to use powder foundation a lot back in the day when I used MAC foundation for... okay. I was a bigger fan of using a brush, like a kabuki style brush, but I only have one of those, so I didn't want to do a comparison using different application modes, if that makes sense. I apply them both with the sponge they come with. That should be a kind of uniform starting ground. So what I loved about powder foundation was how quick it was. I used to do concealer underneath. I'm not doing that today purely because I want to see how this stands on its own. Now, powder foundation always came across a bit paler to me, anyway, in my experience, than liquids of the same shade, because I use the one shade in Revolution a lot, and it's not quite this ghostly pale. So, tuck this way back in its little bed, and now let's try the other one. So this puff is obviously a bit thinner. This looks darker on the puff, so dun, dun, dun. It's definitely giving a lighter application with this little guy. So we'll just build it up. Okay, so shade wise they're not an exact match, but it'll be fine. I'll just do a little bit of blending down the middle of my face, you know? And once I've got blusher and highlighter on and stuff, it's going to be even less noticeable, so it'll be fine, honestly. So yeah, as I remember with powder foundation, really quick, really high coverage. Why did I stop using it? I need to do a little bit more on this side. Realising I forgot to go properly in around my piercing. Drat, there was a bit of wet moisturiser or primer under there. That wasn't a good combination. This wasn't why I'd stopped using powder foundation, by the way, because I stopped before I had the piercings. Okay, so let's zoom in. Whoop, and not out. Okay, so this is just the normal Revolution side. As you can see, it's very, very smooth. A little bit less around the piercing. Oh my god, why have I just been boycotting going around my piercings? I'm not used to have to thinking about it as much with the liquid foundation because the brush just catches everything. So yeah, there's a little bit of settling in the pores on my nose. Not too bad. And we're just going to ignore that piercing, that's a disaster area. Yeah, so you can't really see the difference in colour. That's good. I am going to go now and finish up like the rest of my makeup. You know, blush, contour and all that, and I will come back and show you the finished face where we'll hopefully look a little bit more alive than we do just now. And yeah, I'll be right back with that. Okay, so I'm back, and as you can see, like I said, foundation all looking good now. Contour, blush, highlighter, we're looking more even. So the other thing with powder foundation is as you sit with it for a while, it warms up to your skin and looks a bit more natural. So that's the other thing I'm going to do, everything else off camera, is that I can show you the result of that. So my nose doesn't look quite as powdery anymore, and it's only been a couple of minutes. So there's that. So time just now is 20 past 12. I'm a bit late getting started today, but let's go about my day, see what happens. Right, so I'm back for a check-in. It is 6:30, pretty much. So this has been on for over 6 hours, and I've got very little to report. I felt like the coverage looked really even this morning between the two sides, but I'm beginning to think the Revolution Pro has a tiny bit more coverage, which is the cheaper side, whereas the Revolution, the Conceal and Define powder foundation, it looks a little bit more natural. you know, a bit more real skin than porcelainy. Excuse the lips, by the way, I had roast chicken for dinner, so my lip line's a bit messed up. It was messed up earlier, but it's worse now. So zooming in, I've got a little bit of oil breakthrough, but nothing crazy. Nothing that I feel like, oh my god, I have to fix this. I have to fix my lips, right? So we are going to touch that up while we're here. I wanted to fix it off camera, but it's a foundation review, so I can't. So I do quite like that. You've got a really good edge on this sponge for kind of going around the lip area. Now I'm trying to just dab and be quite light with reapplying this because the coverage is great. It is just the shine that we're trying to cancel out this time. And then for the other side, I'd say we actually have less shine, apart from my chin. My chin is the nightmare. Oh, my nose. Why would I think my nose wasn't shiny? So I'm just going to do the same. Yeah, that one's not quite as good for cleaning up the lip line because it's got that kind of ridge on the edge of it. So that was not so good. I wouldn't normally use a powder foundation for clearing up my lip line. I was just trying it out while we were here. Oh, I just covered the wrong side. So I will say, now that I have reapplied, that difference in colour is way more obvious. I think my pores are getting more obvious as well. So pore filling primer might be the way to go. Normally I find that niacinamide drop primer is quite pore filling. But yeah, it doesn't seem to have cut it with this guy. So I'm just trying to even out my nose rather than having it two different colours. That's better. Anyway, I hadn't even finished touching up my forehead. I'm just getting distracted now. So yeah, at the moment I actually like both of these. The one in the golden container is obviously a little bit darker. So here we're wanting this kind of level of paleness. You're not going to be able to get that with this guy because this is the lightest shade other than translucent, which isn't going to give you the cover. So I'm going to keep wearing these going about the rest of my day, which admittedly is just going to be watching TV, and we'll see how it goes. So I'll be back in a bit. Okay, in all seriousness, why did I stop wearing powder foundation? Why? This was so quick, this was so easy, and it's lasting really well. Right, so one thing I have noticed is this guy oxidizes. So zooming in, the light's going to wash it out a little bit, but you're still going to be able to see it. So the side is definitely got more of a yellowy golden tone than this side, and yeah, without the light it's a bit more pronounced. I'll try switching the light off. So yeah, you can see it a little bit more there with the light off, that's quite yellowy compared to this side. I'm going to put the light back on because, as you can tell, I'm somewhere quite dark. Right, so light back, other than the, the colour issue, I would say we're fairly even on the oiliness, maybe a tiny bit more on the cheaper side, but still nothing crazy, and definitely easily touch-upable. With that said, I am going to do another touch-up just to make sure it doesn't go cakey. So we'll start with the one that's oxidizing, and hope this doesn't go even crazier. I would definitely focus on a pore smoothing primer. It's because my nose is, the pores are looking quite prominent on my nose now, basically. But touching up nicely. And then the other one is hiding under my phone. And da, da, da. Yeah, also touching up nicely. I don't think this looks particularly cakey. I will say though, I like a really matte finish, and you can definitely see that difference in colour there until I go back and try and blend it a little bit. Yeah, so difference in colour. So I'm not going to hold the oxidizing against it, because to be honest, it's not so oxidized that it doesn't look like it's my skin. It still fits in. This one is actually a little bit paler than my skin, so I mean, I like pale. This is more my aesthetic, but this one's definitely more my skin tone. Performance wise, I think they both give good enough coverage. I didn't have any concealer on with this today, even on my under eye, so they done really well there. They both done nice jobs of touching up, matting up, without looking, to my mind, cakey. If you are somebody that has a drier skin with a powder foundation, you might want to go for a setting spray afterwards. Because my skin is so oily, that powderiness settles down on its own really quite quickly, which I'd shown in the full face bit. So I'd done the application and came back with everything on, and you could see that it had begun to settle down already just because of the way my skin is. But if you're drier, yeah, spritz of setting spray is going to bring that powdery finish right down for you. But if you like matte foundation, if you want something really, really quick, I actually recommend both of these. I think both of them are just as good. This one's obviously cheaper. If you've got drier skin, maybe go for this one, because the hyaluronic acid might make it a little bit more friendly for your skin type. But overall, both are good. So, if you've got any questions, leave them down below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. Apparently it helps me out. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye!